Hello, everyone. This is Alicia Brashe here from Cosmic Gateway, New Earth Children, and back by popular demand, I have Alicia from Kata Astral 222. Thank you for being here. This is the Divine Partnership energy intro, so talking about the fortnight, the current energies, and we'll get into doing some intuitive guidance insights for the next fortnight. So, Alicia, thank you so much for being back here.
Thank you so much to you, sister. I am dealing with it. I am dealing with it. I'm fully into it. I'm starting to love it, actually.
Yay! That's what we like to hear. So I guess obviously we're, the world's going into isolation mode, into shutdown. And I know that you and I have had some interesting downloads about how that impacts divine, twin flame dynamics and divine partnership dynamics. And I just want to talk a little bit about, what your feeling is around that. And I can share, I've had some very interesting energy sessions over the last week or so, and I've been given permission by my beautiful clients to share some of the information that's come through that may be of assistance if you're going through, it might resonate to what you're experiencing and help have a better understanding. But I'll hand it over to you. What do you feel like the current themes of energy have been around, divine partnership?
Well, okay, how I understand this, after all this time that we are going to spend by ourselves, isolated from other people, obviously our own energetic field is going to get cleared, like kind of a purified maybe, it will become a more clear, more effective also frequency, because we are always, putting our frequency out there through our heart chakra, our heartbeat. It's like kind of having a Wi-Fi, how it's a Wi-Fi that each in every heartbeat, you send out a message, you send out a specific frequency, and that specific frequency needs to be recognized, by your soulmate, your twin flame, your cosmic family, by everyone that in this world is related to you and that has kind of a commitment, a shared purpose of mission to fulfill. So by being isolated, we are going to send that frequency much more clearer, and the channel of communication, that invisible wire that we share with those who we are connected, by a soul level, because it's kind of a connection of our souls. I can be surrounded by my blood family, by my parents and my sisters, and yet maybe I don't have any soul connection to them because I didn't make a very significant agreement with them. Maybe I have more, or not maybe, I'm sure I have kind of more deep and more purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right
Purposeful,
word?
yeah.
Purposeful. Meaningful.
Yeah,
it was meaningful, the word I was trying to find.
Mm-hmm.
More meaningful connections to somebody that is maybe in the other side of the world, because the agreement was with that person. So if we are all immersed in our 3D regular lifestyle, we're always kind of infected, to say a word that might resonate, infected with others' energy, with others' frequency. So the frequency we send out there, has to go through so many levels, so many not levels, so many obstacles to get to the people that we are connected, in a more clear and effective way. So by being isolated, we are going to send out the message much clearer and much more effective. So we are going to start to find each other. And the universe is going to make that happen, because we are going to be using technology, virtual technology, internet, that our frequency easily can use these frequencies, these channels, to reach other people out there. It's amazing, but you can really find, you can see someone through the internet, you know, through maybe Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and you can feel the energy of that person, because we are now developing that kind of gifts, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's refining and becoming more heightened. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you summed it up perfectly. And I think the lockdown message was interesting because it was coming through to me weeks ago, and I thought it was specifically for me. I kept hearing, you have to go into lockdown, you have to refine your energy and make it really pure and clear,
Mm-hmm.
and eliminate all distractions. And then what do you
Exactly.
know, like 2 weeks later, everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
world is going through that process.
Exactly. And I think that it also will force people to go inside, you know, to see inside of them, to seek inside of them, when where the real connections, the soul connections that we make are inside of ourselves, are not outside. You know, if you want to find your twin flame, or you want to get uh, union with your twin flame, you need to go inside, not outside.
Mhm.
Because as much as you are kind of faithful to yourself and know yourself better, you will be resonating in a more pure way. I think that that is the word, you know, or the concept, at least, to be to send out there the most clear and pure frequency you can, or you're able to. And to do that, you need to be isolated.
Yeah,
You know, you
it's
need to be with yourself.
it's strengthening the non-physical, you know, connections
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
abilities. And I think you were saying this before we hit the record button, how it's, you know, allowing people through this process of refining it and going within, it's helping them
mm-hmm.
deeper connect with their purpose,
Yes.
with their gifts, their spiritual
Mm-hmm.
gifts, and their,
Well, I think that they are going to be able to recognize them, you know, to be
yeah,
aware of those, because we are already using them. Just you don't realize, because you are, you know, answering to so many messages and phone calls and whatever, that you don't realize that you are constantly sending messages, and that the
mhm,
people are going to start receiving them even
mhm,
clearer. So you might be thinking, oh, I'm going to text this person something, and the person replies to you by your phone, and you don't realize that you send the message with
yeah,
your telepathy, you know,
yeah,
with your mind, and
yeah,
the person is replying to you with the phone, by the phone, using the phone. And it's because they received the message, and it's like, oh, I was just about to ask you that. He's already responding, you know, he got the message and he's replying, that's
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And I think another aspect of this is, you know, during times of chaos and disturbance,
Mhm.
it really brings what matters the most to the forefront. It
Of course.
allows people to dig in at a deeper level, because obviously the distractions of what people might normally do when they don't want to look at something, you know, they'll go out and meet friends, or they'll go to the gym, or they'll go to
Mhm.
the bar, or you know, whatever. And
Exactly.
having those things taken away doesn't give those outlets anymore. It's almost like a force within of people who may want to avoid that, let's say, you know. um
80% of the world, thank you. Yeah, oh, exactly. 80% of the world are always busy, you know, always being productive.
yeah.
And they are not even going to be productive right now, because they are not going to be able to go to work, you know? So it will be, besides the thing related with the gifts and the telepathy and all this stuff, it also will make people not only understand what is really important, you know, but to really see how they relate to the world in a 3D capitalism system, I guess, or capitalist system. You know, they are going to start questioning everything,
Mm.
because they will know and they will remember that they can live without, you know, without the coffee they buy at Starbucks, you know, in that corner, without without a lot of things that they think they can live a life, you know, without them.
Mhm. And it is really beautiful, because I know that most people who've gone through a deep ascension process have gone through, you know, the isolation and the ripping apart of material possessions, and you know,
Yes. It's necessary to go to through the awakening process.
Yeah, so it's on a massive level at the moment. But I do want to share a couple of things, because I know just basically by sessions and connecting with people on this, you know, divine partnership journey, there's been a lot of anger coming up, that I've noticed, within my own dynamic, but also in working with clients. There's been these like outbursts of kind of anger and frustration, and what I've been seeing a lot in the energy field is almost like, imagine like a thread that goes around the energy body and it's unraveling. It's like the experiences that have been along this pathway, it's kind of unraveling a lot of those things, and it's coming up in bursts, which can be very, very comfortable. But I think new realizations get born through that, and deeper levels of understanding as we shift that out of our energy field. But I do want to share one thing that came through in a session, and one of my clients gave me permission to share this. And it's interesting because when I go in and work on the energy field, I see things, I'm like, wow, what does that mean? You know, and the downloads that come through. But just to read this, you're dealing with 3 layered templates overlapping your energy field, going through a collapse. One is your trauma in the connection and ability to re-experience some of the experiences that have played out through the connection with a fine-tooth comb, so that they never have to resurface again. The second is your counterpart's emotional body. And the third is the past life memories that you have together in your connection. And so I was seeing this as like a 3-part layering that was kind of working its way out of my client's energy field, which was very, very fascinating. And I just wanted to share that because I think that may resonate for some people on this pathway, you know, when it's going through some extreme. So, you know, my guidance in that is to, you know, put yourself in a quiet space, go into meditation and connect with what's coming up, and ask the questions. You know, a lot of people panic of like, oh my God, what's happening? It's like, ask what's going on. The answers will always come. You know,
you know what? I think that there's something that people are not used to do, which is to really sit down with an emotion and see if it's yours or not. You know, because we're empathetic and we are kind of vessels, you know, and the frequency travels all over the space. So maybe the anger of our twin flame, you know, it's going through us, and we're not used to, you know. Well, we are in this journey, we already know how to do that, you know, to know if it's my anger or if it's her anger, you know, and not mine. And I think that is because the anger that we are feeling right now that has no explanation, you know, it's related to the 3D world collapsing.
You know,
the linear mind always will cause resistance because it doesn't want to lose control, you know, and we are losing control. That's the truth. We're losing control, and we need to let go. We need to surrender to that feeling, and we need to surrender to the process, and we need to acknowledge we are losing control of 3D, of the real conditions, you know. And this moment specifically, in which it is surreal, what we are living is surreal. You know,
it really is.
And there are so many people out there, obviously our twin flames too, you know, going through this anger because they are losing control of reality. And there are so many people out there losing control of reality, and the linear mind obviously is going to make them feel anger and frustration, you know, because the linear mind always needs to be in control. So
Perfectly
I think that
just as I was saying that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because when you think about when you start to awaken, start your ascension process, there's deep-seated anger that comes up because you realize that you have been lied to, or you realize that the reality that you were living in was
no, you have been lied to, and you have been lied to yourself, you know. You were part of the lies because you weren't able to, but that's normal too, you know. We were kind of taught, you know, to supreme or to to ignore part of ourselves in order to fit into our reality, our specific reality. I am aware of what of myself I had to conceal or to hide, since I was
Mm.
maybe teenager. When I found out I was bisexual, I needed to shut up, and I needed to not to share it because it was bad. Because always, of course, I grew up in a family, very homophobic family,
Yeah.
because of all this thing around it that is related to religion, of course. So I
Mhm.
needed to shut it up. I needed to shut it down. Sorry, not shut it up. I needed to shut it down and to forget about it, And that is just kind of one example of how many things that we have to hide along all our lifetime, In
Mhm.
this moment, what is happening is that we are going to be pushed, or we are already pushed with the awakening process to live through who we really are.
Yeah.
And the linear mind will resist because the linear mind will feel that you are going to be rejected, abandoned, or not love worthy.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So it's the truth or authenticity of self is pushing through, but there are
Mm-hmm.
many different layers. Another You just triggered another message that sort of came through while I was preparing for this is obviously this is an amazing opportunity for people to
Mm-hmm.
break away from their 3D jobs and lifestyle to move into
Mm-hmm.
soul mission and in a more
Mm-hmm.
5D construct of whatever that looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
And quite often when doing that, as you and I both know, so much fear comes up, so
Mm-hmm.
many obstacles come up to be able to refine yourself into
Mm-hmm.
the most refined version you can, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
be that way shower or beacon of light.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I always say that whatever your work is an extension of the energy of who you are. And so
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
you get put in these very tough um, mental constraints of I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm not love, whatever comes up for the individual. And I think that that is another layer of what's going on, as many
Mm-hmm.
people beyond this time of self-isolation will be moving into their own
Mm-hmm.
purpose and mission.
Yeah, and they will, and I think that they will be very conscious that 3D job is no longer an option. It's not necessarily something that gives you certainty. Not anymore, because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, and I think that is also following a higher plan, a divine
Yeah,
plan, because there are so many way showers, so many artists, so many healers, that are engaged in a 3D job.
yes,
But
yeah,
guess what? You are going to lose your 3D job. So you are going to be forced to find your purpose, and your soul mission. And you're going to be pushed that way so hard that you are not going, yeah, you're not going to be able, if you lose your job, what else can you do? You're not longer tied to anything, you know? They are going
right,
to start making the right questions to find
right,
the perfect answer. And the,
yeah,
and the universe is going to cope with that. And the universe is going to show them the way to become a healer, to become a way shower, to become, you know, uh, something different that is
an
not
artist,
bounded to an office, to an
right,
office and to them and to the bank account and to, the materialistic. Because I think that I know that the situation is going to be hard in
yeah,
an economic level. I am aware of that,
yeah.
but I think that it might be needed.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's two things that I want to share based around what you were saying. Um, the first thing is it just popped into my head. A dream that I had last night was very
Mhm.
vivid, and it was I was looking at my old bank account that had
Mhm.
things in the red, things in negative, like in debt,
Mhm.
and there was like three different accounts, and one had some money, some had debt, and then I saw that it was being moved over to a new bank or banking system, and everything was starting to balance out, and anything that was in the orange or the red was starting to go into the
Mhm.
green. And then with that I
Mhm.
kept getting 444 444, which is foundation, structure, building. So I
Wow.
just wanted to put that out there because it just flew into my head as you were saying that. I think that's a bit of a collective message of this moving from
Yes.
one structure to the next. But I know in my own personal journey, once I accepted the higher calling that was being asked of me, I think it was within 24 hours, because I had started embarking on, becoming an entrepreneur and doing things like that. And I was still in my job. Like, I always did this work, and I had my 3D job, my safety, my security. And
I never had one of those.
You never had one of, I tell you, I was, that was one of my hardest parts in the ascension process, because I was very ingrained from the moment I was 14. I worked 2-3 jobs all my life. I worked 7, and then doing this on top of that, but that's part of my ancestral, breaking up of that. But it was just so funny, because I said to the universe, I don't know how long I can maintain doing both. I don't know how long I can keep doing this. And within 24 hours, I got a phone call that my company had gone into liquidation.
The universe always finds a way. Yeah, exactly. It always finds a way. Okay, you're not going to leave your job. Oh, you are going to leave your job. Good. It's like you're fired. Bye.
And I still wasn't confident doing this full time. So I looked into different avenues of doing different type of business. And then I was like, then the healing stuff will lead into it. And every avenue I went down, door shut, door shut, door. And I sat there and I was like, what do I do? And you have to do this work like now. And
yes, that is why I never had a regular normal people job, that is what I say. Because every time I tried, I wouldn't last more than 2 weeks, and I was already out. And it was like, not because I was because I was fired, because we're closing the company. What? I just came here. What, you're closing? And my car broke, and it happened so many things in so many jobs that I finally understood that this is what I had to do.
Right.
I needed to be a tarot reader, and to make birth charts, and to just be who I am right now.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine. It really was a very interesting step, the moment I decided to go fully into the tarot readings. And because I think it was the biggest lesson of mastery over the material world. It was like, okay, fine. If I am going to die under a bridge eating onions, I will do that. That would be fine. But I will be doing what I meant to be doing, And I just jumped. And it didn't happen,
Right.
As soon as I jumped, as soon as I did, okay, all my time will be just dedicated to this. I started to receive phone calls, and just start growing and growing and growing. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
The only thing I needed to do is to be in a mental state of surrender, of I don't care. Anything that happened would be what was meant to happen.
Yeah, 100%. Beautifully said. And I think that's hopefully that can be a really great takeaway for people who are on the precipice of that right now. Trust and faith, because you are always looked after, but it's just our mind that's been conditioned that, I had programs and fears around the fact that if I wasn't working 7 days a week, like busting my ass off, I would literally die in the streets, and to break through that was incredibly challenging. But,
I know. And
but through the leap of faith and just trusting that, there is a higher plan, there is a higher purpose, and you are being guided and led, and you just need to take the action towards that. That's the only teacher. Sitting around doing nothing and worrying about it is just creating more mental stress. It's about taking the courage and putting the energy and the hard intention and moving forward.
Yeah, and that because this I think this is important to state it. It's that doesn't mean that I am not aware that there are so many people out there with really hardships, hard situations, because they have children to feed, they have rents to pay. This applies only to the people that are, like being held backward because of fear, that they already have another option, that they are maybe sustaining a 3D job, and trying also to be a healer,
Mm.
you know. And there is, the only struggle is to decide if you are going to be 100% a healer, you know, or the guy that is behind a desk, you know, sealing papers or something,
Mhm.
you know. And even if you are in a hard situation, a very hard economic situation, if you trust the process and if you already have kind of an intuition, just give it a chance, you know. This, in the situation we are right now, the universe, you know, it's like, if I just saw a meme, I guess it's said in English,
Mhm.
a meme,
Yeah, mean, yeah.
like that. Okay, perfect. I didn't know how to say it in English. That it said, I feel like the universe has sent us all to a room to think, you know,
Mm.
about what we have done, and it's very accurate, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
it's time to know who you are and what do you want to do for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
you know, because we are going to live a lot, even if we think that we are, our lives are threatened because of the virus.
Mhm. Yeah. It's a time of purification and revolution, like industrial.
Revelation.
Yeah,
Revelation.
revelation too.
What kind of revelation?
Well, having said that, let's get into the individual cards. So there'll
Okay.
be 3 individual readings for your divine partnership dynamic. We'll be reading the masculine and feminine energies for the next fortnight. I've done some artwork, very different to the last ones. Last ones were a lot of mass confusion. These ones seem to be a lot clearer, so that's a good sign. So this will be for starting, you know, today on the 24th until about the 8th of April. So tune in to which one calls you the most, and then we'll have the individual readings in the links below. So first off, this will be A, so reading A, and B, and lucky last, we have there C. So tune in to which one calls you, speaks to you, and we will have the individual cards, the links to the individual readings below. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you do feel that you would like further assistance on your journey, whether it's individual or in your divine partnership dynamic, Alicia does amazing readings, tarot readings, and I do a lot of energetic adjustments and alignment with intuitive guidance. So I'll put the links to those as well in the description box below, and we'll see you in the next videos. Mwah! Much love.